Hi, welcome back to Narc. This is part 3 of my talking about the Chris Watts case. And so in the last 2 videos, I kind of went on about Chris Watts' mom and, what I saw and thought about some things, because I talk about narcissistic relationships. And so when I was talking about it, I just kind of got started on his mom, and so I decided to go ahead and do that. So now let's go ahead and get caught up over here, and let's start talking about Chris Watts and Nicholkessinger. And Nicholkessinger is the woman that he worked with and ended up having an affair with. And so Chris Watts, when I first started seeing it, I immediately, as I said in some of my videos, I was like, wow, I was kind of triggered by it. And so some of you may have been as well. And I know that many people were and are still paying attention to this case because they just connected with it, or even connected so much with Shanann Watts, who pretty much put her entire life out on to social media. She was a bright, shining person. She just shined is the best. She was like this beautiful star, and she lights up the camera. And so what's not to like? She was just amazing from what I could see. And I felt like she really took very good care of her family and her husband. I don't think they were good with money. They are, or she was young, and he is still, he's getting up there now, but I mean, still young people, and they weren't really good with money, and they were living that, above their means big time, which can cause a lot of pressure on a relationship, period. And then you add children to it and all those pressures. But, she really loved her family, and she loved her job and her friends, and everyone who talks about her just talks about how wonderful she was. The only person that I ever hear saying anything bad about her is Chris Watts' mother. I don't even hear Chris Watts saying anything bad about her. Like, as a matter of fact, I've heard Chris Watts on the phone in from taped conversations, him still defending, even in her death, defending her, Shanann, his wife, from his mom, because his mom, she can't help herself. She cannot help herself. And then when she gets called out on it, it's like, she kind of checks herself a little bit, and she kind of tries to cover it a little. There's no covering it. She didn't like her. She still doesn't like her in death. She blames her for all of this, and it is apparent that she does, and it is not attractive. And she's wanting some empathy from everybody else, and yet she can't give any empathy to these victims. I just can't even believe it. And I can understand why Shanann might have felt really uncomfortable around Chris Watts' family. And I think that Chris Watts' mother had a major role in why none of that went well between those two. And I wouldn't want to be around someone who didn't like me and who was always saying things about me. And I think when Chris Watts' mother says things about Shanann, I honestly think she's projecting. I think that she literally is the nasty one here, and I think she wants sympathy from people because she just can't take it that people don't like her and see her in a certain light. And I'm sorry, I'm only going by what I can see. I don't know this woman personally, but what I can see, I'm not a fan. So Chris Watts had this beautiful family, absolutely had everything. He had job, beautiful home, beautiful children, tons of stuff. His wife took care of him immaculately. Like, she did everything for him. Everything for him. I mean, when she was a tad OCD, she was very, very neat. Everything was in order in their home. I mean, everything. Their basement, their garages, their closets, their drawers. There was nothing out of place, and if it was, it probably wasn't for very long, because I'm telling you, that house was huge and it was in place. She had everything labeled in her house, and when they even opened up the pantry, you could see everything labeled, and even Chris's snacks. These snacks are for Chris. And she made sure she took care of everything. And so he had everything that you could possibly ever want. And then she got pregnant with another child. And they have money problems. And mom doesn't like Shanann. And he has seen this other girl at work, and this other girl at work is flirting with him, and it's making him feel good, and he's been losing weight by the help of his wife, mind you, because she worked for this company called Thrive, and it's supposed to make you feel good, and they were trying to be all healthy and everything. And so he had gotten into really good shape and was feeling really good about himself, and now this girl at work is giving him attention. She's everything opposite of what's happening at home. And it's like he doesn't have to have those responsibilities of, carrying these bills that are so, because Shanann was used to a certain lifestyle. And he didn't have to be the responsible father and the perfect family. And I think, as I talked about, his mom was talking about how he was so perfect growing up. He was the perfect child, and their family was the normal family, and there was nothing ever wrong, and he never did anything wrong. I think that he felt fake. He was living this fake. He did feel fake. I do think he felt uncomfortable. I do feel like he probably was feeling trapped, but I don't think he really noticed it that much until he met Nicholkessinger, who made him feel like he could feel free, because she was kind of like that. And so where I saw narcissistic traits in Chris Watts, I too saw narcissistic traits in Nicholkessinger. And two narcissistic people can come together. People ask that question all the time. Do narcissists attract each other? And wouldn't that be the better relationship to work out? It depends on what you want in the meantime. Narcissistic people are very selfish people, and they live in the moment. And so whatever they want in that moment, because they're like children, they think like, when you take a 5-year-old to the store and the 5-year-old starts stomping and kicking and screaming, I want this, I want this, I want this, and they want that, and then 5 minutes later they're bored with that and they want something else. It's the same thing with an adult who never really matured emotionally, and so they are very narcissistic, very selfish people, and they want what they want, and they want it when they want it, and they don't care what gets in the way of it. And so what happens is they will get bored easily, and they will want to discard, let's just say the old toys, which unfortunately Chris Watts saw his family that way. It's like, I don't want them anymore, that they're in my way of what I want to get to. And what I want to get to is I want to be single now and fancy free, and I want to have fun, and I want to have sex all the time, and I want to be this other person, and I want to have fun with her, because I'm living off Nicholkessinger's traits, and she's making me feel fabulous. Now, she's adoring me. Granted, I still have my children that adore me and my wife, but it's a reminder of they're a reminder of what I don't want right now. I want it, but I don't want it right now, and I'm not thinking of it that way. I want this over here, and that's in the way, and I don't want to think about it. I don't want to be reminded. I want to be over here. And this Nicholkessinger is mirroring back to him everything that he wants now, and he is mirroring back to her everything that she's wanting right now as well. And so it's working for the two of them. both of them, if you watch any of their videos, and all of you who do videos and are following definitely know that you can see these traits. And neither one of them, when they speak in interviews or to each other, they don't seem to have empathy. Now, Nicholkessinger fakes it. She fakes the empathy, and you can see that when she tells a story. She too tells it as if she's just talking about people that she's not, as if they're just from another planet, and she's just telling the story. And when she knows there are places that she should have empathy, example of when she's trying to talk about the children, she says things like, those adorable children, I might say the wrong word, so I'm going to, it's basically something along these lines. They're so cute. No, they were just babies. No, I wanted him to stay with his family. I would have never stayed with him. I would leave if I knew that family could work it out. I would have never been with him if I would have known that they were a family. Girl, you knew they were a family. You knew they were a family. And you know why? Because she looked up Chris Watts and his family a year prior to meeting him. And that is extremely narcissistic. Because narcissists, sociopaths, will, they prey on people. And so she probably knew a whole lot about Chris Watts before meeting him, because she had already looked him up on social media, and Shanann put everything to public on social media because she was trying to connect and do her Thrive business and that kind of thing. And that's how you get followers and people to come on, and they see your life and they want your life like that. Many people are like that. They see social media and they believe that everything you see is exactly as you see it, and that, you know, so you're putting out all your happy stuff. And so there are people out there that are like, will get jealous of that and be like, I want that. And, you know, so anything you do in your work life, you're putting your best face forward. And her part of her job was being on social media in that way to sell herself and sell her product. And also she was very proud of her family. And she, I think she was really happy. But as in narcissistic relationships, and if you've ever been in one, she recognized immediately the change. The alarm system goes off, and I talk about this on my channel. An inner alarm system goes off and goes, I don't know this person. Like, everything has changed overnight. I don't understand what happened. Like, what did I do? And you start to blame yourself. The person within the narcissistic relationship begins to blame themselves and question themselves, and then they try to do better. And then they start to question. Now, when she starts to question him, that would be a narcissistic injury, because in a narcissist's mind, it's like, don't question me. I do what I want to do, and you're beneath me. And how dare you question me? And it's annoying to them. And so she's in devaluation. He's trying to pretend that everything is okay, because he really kind of is like, he doesn't want to be reminded of her when he's with this Nicholkessinger. But he meets Nicholkessinger at work, and she tries to play it kind of coy and like she wants to take things slow. And I think her slow was like, what, a couple of days? A day? And this relationship was fast and furious. And narcissistic relationships are fast and furious, because narcissistic people don't want you to see the real them, and they're putting on their best foot forward. We all put our best foot forward when we first meet people, but narcissistic people, they know that, you know, things usually don't go so great. And so they want you to fall in love very quickly. They want to get you trapped very quickly and get you bound to them, which, on my channel and other channels, we call that trauma bonded, so that you are psychologically, you believe that you need them. It's like an addiction, and so that you don't necessarily leave them. And that's what they want. They want you bonded to them. And so, I believe that Chris Watts and Nicholkessinger both had highly narcissistic traits, or were narcissistic plus other things. There could have been borderline personality disorder mixed in there. I definitely know, or I shouldn't say no, but I know that I can say that there are traits of of Chris Watts being a sociopath mixed in. He definitely had narcissistic traits. So that different personality disorders can coexist with each other, and they would have to be psychoanalyzed. And I'm sure that Chris Watts has by now been psychoanalyzed in prison. And if he is remotely being honest at this point, hopefully he'll get a true diagnosis. But a lot of times they try to trick people. And Chris Watts, he did try to lie and thought he could get away with it because he knew he was a really good liar and got away with it from other people. And he even brags about how he's told stories before and made people believe these stories that he's told. He bragged about it, but he wasn't able to pass his polygraph test. And I do think if you go and watch the examiner give him the polygraph test, I do find it kind of funny, some of the things that she said to him, such as, you're a really bad liar, and that's a really good thing. That's a good thing. I don't know if she's trying to be condescending or if she's being truthful, but it's kind of funny looking at it now. And I'm sure he was crapping his pants. So, but they started texting each other. He kept pushing the boundary. So she was kind of sort of putting like this soft boundary on Nicholkessinger, and then he kept pushing it because he could see that she actually was attracted to him. He had talked to her in the office. It was obviously that they had an instant attraction. She had an instant attraction a year before because she had already looked him up and been looking up his wife as well. So she knew he had a family and all of that good stuff. He was not telling her this when they first started talking, and then eventually he did tell her that he had children. And she was like, oh, that's so great and that's so cute. And she tried to, play it out. And he had to admit that he was married and that he said that they were separated. And so Nicholkessinger tries to say in her interviews over and over and over that, she really believed that he was separated. I would believe her in some instances, but because I've seen all of her interviews and the way this played out, I don't believe her. I know that she did know he was married and had children before she got into the relationship with him. I also know that she tried to make herself look like the good person within her interviews, and she contradicted herself, and she's inconsistent. And narcissistic people they always contradict themselves, and they are very inconsistent. And she, 1 minute she's saying that she wanted Chris to go back to his wife and that he was trying to convince him of that and that she felt like she could talk him into those things. And then the next minute she is doing something that is complete opposite. Like she says that she's the one who told him to go to North Carolina and try to work things out in North Carolina with his wife. And I'll explain this as well because I'm just kind of rambling here. But why she was in North Carolina. But she's saying that because of her, he was going there to try to work it out with her, and that she really wanted that to work out. But she was back here on her computer looking up wedding dresses. And I believe on the channel that I'm going to post in my videos that I think everybody should go and look at if you are curious about this case, because this girl does a really good job. I believe it was in one of her videos where, I could be wrong, where also who was going to do her hair, and she was already planning this wedding. This relationship between Chris Watts and Nicholkessinger only was for 2 months. So That's how fast and furious things happen from beginning to end. And in the end, his wife and children were dead. And so it's really important for people to recognize these traits, because it doesn't matter what someone looks like, or if you think they had the perfect background and the perfect family. There are red flags that people need to notice within relationships to protect themselves. And one of the things that is very important is to not jump right in and rush right into something. That is a major red flag. And, you know, I'm such a romantic, and back when I was younger, I thought that was the most beautiful thing in the world. And now I know that that's a red flag. You don't rush the relationship. You take time to get to know someone. And within a few months, within 3 to 6 months, you're going to start to see the real person and how they handle conflict, how they handle pressures in their life, how they do certain things. And early on, we're seeing that things weren't being handled very well. This is within 2 months. I remember one time I had a therapist tell me, you see something before 3 months, you need to run and not turn around and look back. But these two were already planning their lives together. And Chris Watts, he wasn't planning on getting back with his wife. No way was he planning on doing that. So we're going to go into the next video. That's just us rambling on, or me rambling on about this case, especially for people who did not follow this case and are watching my channel. You may want to now, because it's quite interesting, and it will shine a light on what narcissism or narcissistic traits look like, and other, you know, I talk about antisocial personality disorder, which on my channel as well, but that is what a sociopath is. Antisocial personality disorder does not mean that someone didn't want to be around anyone. That is what a sociopath is. It's just another name for a sociopath. So let's go into the next video. I'll see you over there. Thanks. Bye.